Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode, a Sunday night edition of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak, and my esteemed partners in crime. We have Johnny Kallas, we have Steve Kallas. We're wrapping up NFL. The divisional round just wrapped up in Chi-Town. How you doing, fellas?
Good. Good day of football for me.
A very good day for Johnny. He's got skin in the game, probably the only one of the rest of us. My team, bought the farm last week. Steve's
Oh,
team
good.
going
No, good
over.
day. Good day for me. I'm chipping in to pay Harbaugh 100 million. I'm gonna like chip in something.
Can you 5 years, 100 million? Hasn't seen a Super Bowl since
That's for
2012.
another time. That's for
I
another
know,
time.
I know. All right, well, this was an amazing game. There were some amazing games and there were some amazing plays, and there was that amazing Roma Dunze 4th and 8 last week. That was intentional. This was a prayer. So, but this has to go down as one of the great plays in playoff history, although it didn't end up in the Bears winning the game. The Rams ended up winning it in overtime, but a lot of good stuff happened in that game. And the Bears, again, they came back down seven. They were stopped three times, I think, on fourth down attempts. And then they had the ball in overtime, and there was an interception by, was it Cam Curley, the defender?
Cam
But a
Curl,
real
yeah.
nice pick going horizontal in that weather. This guy, and it's late in the game. I mean, they're got to be tired too. That was huge. And then the thicker kicker, I forget his name, the Rams kicker, because Josh McCarty was the last guy I saw kicking with the Rams. Makes a 42 yarder in the cold, wins it. Bears season ends. Rams advance to play Seattle, a rematch of that game 38-37 a few weeks ago. Um, Steve, what'd you think? The Magic ran out for the Bears, but I thought midnight would have hit for them a few weeks ago. And you got to be, I mean, the coach might be a little bit of a punk, but he's done a nice job with Caleb Williams in his second year. Another ridiculous comeback that fell a little short tonight.
Well, I don't, I mean, the Bears have been miracle workers this year. Caleb Williams has come a long way. We talked about him at the beginning of the year, and now he's won so many games coming from behind. And this game to come from behind. You guys are right. It won't be one of the greatest plays ever because they wound up losing the game, but they had fourth and four from the 14-yard line to get a first down. And he literally ran, I think he got the snap at like the 20, and he literally ran back to the 40-yard line. He ran 20 yards backwards with three guys chasing him. And then he just flung it for if you're facing the TV screen, to the back left-hand corner of the end zone, like he knew at least one of his guys was going to be there. And it was Cole Kmet, that Notre Dame guy, Joe. And I think he pushed the defender a little bit. He was wide open. It was like a schoolyard game where everybody ran one way and one guy was over there all by himself, but he was wide open. And Lake, the guy who made that incredible tackle on Swift in the play before they lost, before the Bears missed another 4th and 2 from the 2-yard line. Um, Nobody else was there. And I was talking to Johnny and I said, I would think by the time, if you got three of your guys running a guy 40 yards from the end zone, and if they don't get a 4-yard gain, the game's over. I would think there'd be 6, 7 guys in the end zone just strolling around. And they did kind of throw the ball up in the air. It was kind of a long lob, but for some reason, everybody was frozen over there. There was really nobody. There was one guy there and one guy coming very late. And Komet was just standing there again, like you're playing schoolyard ball or something, hit him right in the hands. Incredible, but not enough for the win. I give the Bears all the credit in the world. I had them kind of above the Steelers, but they were kind of the team, the Bears, the Bears, the Bears. But boy, did they turned everything around. DJ Moore is a very tough guy. He had a good game. Um, but I got to
Three interceptions though for Caleb Williams and a
through
rating of 59.3. I mean, you factor
through.
that in?
Well, he's up and down. He's still up and down. He can make throws that nobody else can make. I think even Chris Collinsworth said there's nobody else in football who could go running back like he was 40
Really
yards.
not. I mean, he's got the arm talent that's just supersedes everybody
But I think there were breakdowns still. There were mental breakdowns, and I know we're going to get to Drake May because I think he's had some breakdowns, and maybe it just wasn't the time for second-year quarterbacks today. Um, but Having said that, look, Stafford did what he had to do when he had to do it. Chris Collinsworth was shocked. I don't think he'd seen Stafford play this poorly. Now, look, it's 0 degrees. You don't know about his fingers or not. The problem with watching these games and frankly picking these games, you don't know if these guys are playing. Are they 100% really? Should they be on the field? Um, because certainly Stafford, look, he's 20 for 42. That's not good. It's under 50%, 258 yards, no touchdowns, no picks.
But he didn't turn the ball over, and that's
Right. He
huge.
didn't turn the ball over.
Because
And
everyone else did this weekend, it seemed like.
no,
In,
that's right.
in bunches, in bunches.
No, Caleb Williams, 23 from 42, 257, two touchdowns, but three picks. Um, and that last pick was another weird one. Like, who was he throwing it to?
DJ
Because,
Moore seemed to on that crossing route. Didn't DJ Moore didn't turn his head around. He didn't kind of
yeah, like there was a
find the
miscommunication.
quarterback and find what's going on. And he kind of lost the situation or the play. And the Cam Curley came in behind him, and DJ Moore seemed a little lost on that play. Johnny, do you think am I assessing that correctly?
I think so, but it's still just one heck of a look. These time of the year, it's about who can make those championship level plays. Caleb
Right?
made one in the fourth quarter, and then Cam Curl makes a championship level play for a defensive back to make that kind of play in those conditions is really remarkable. Just a few other, but there were some opportunities that especially the Bears had even early in this game that could have really shaped the game differently. First possession, they have 3rd and 4, but before that, 4th and 4, Steve talked about. And one of the interceptions of Caleb, what I will say was on 4th down. Actually, the fact that the guy picked it off ended up hurting his team some field position.
Yeah,
So,
he probably should have let that. Right.
but the play before, Caleb makes a great throw. I understand it's really tough in those conditions. And Odunze on the first drive of the game, it goes right through his hands. That could have been 7-0 early in a game that we all thought even with the weather, I think a lot of us thought there'd be some scoring. The defense is really hunkered down, man. I mean, especially that Bears defense. I thought Dennis Allen called it great, brought a lot of pressure. The secondary still played really well. I mean, I don't know where that Bears defense been, but they were really impressive. The other couple of plays that I just want to highlight. Um, Late in the game, it's 17. I mean, it's 10-10. The Rams have 4th and a long 1. I think it was on the Bears 5 or 6. It was around 9 minutes to go. And the big question there is 4th and long 1. Do you kick a field goal? It's a 10-10 game, or do you go for it? They go for it. And you guys, I've said this a lot. I said it, I remember in that Chiefs-Niners game when Mahomes had a keeper on a 4th and inches they had to take, and Bosa could have went to Mahomes, but he didn't.
And Mahomes ran around the right side,
He
right?
ran around and got the first down. I'm like, if Kareem Hunt or what's his Pacheco beats you, let him beat you. In this case, who are the Rams going to on 4th and a long 1? They are going to run a jet sweep to Puka. You're going to put the ball in your best player's hands. And if they put the ball in someone else's hands, let them beat you that way. But don't let them beat you on a Puka jet sweep when you know they're going to put it in his hands. Have two guys on Puka. Make someone else beat you. Puka gets a first down. They end up scoring a touchdown. The Bears have a miraculous touchdown of their own to tie the game. And fellas, how conservative did Ben Johnson get? It took him a while, but Ben Johnson all of a sudden, after they're 1 for 4 on 4th downs and we're going, it's a 10-10 game, he's kicking field goals. And how about this? They make it 17-16 on a miracle play. A lot of times Ben Johnson goes for two. But even he was smart enough. You can't go for two there because I mean
You're getting stuffed on those fourths and shorts.
they couldn't run the ball on 4th and short, and the only way they're converting is through miraculous Caleb plays that you can't expect will happen 2 times in a row. So overall, really impressive defensive effort by both of these teams. The Bears had some opportunities, but their future looks bright.
Could I just ask you this, Johnny, if I'm remembering right? Wasn't the first time the Bears had the ball, they had a chance, 4th and 2, they could have kicked a field goal, or am
I
I
think
wrong?
that was the fourth and I think so they had a 3rd and 4. They ran it. This is what Ben Johnson does. He runs the ball on 3rd and whatever, but I think everyone knows he's going to run it because then he's going to go for it on 4th. But it's predictable because he's going to go for it on 4th all the time. So I
And
think it was like 4th and 3 they could have got on the board. To your point,
and was that nothing at the time?
yes.
This always pops up, Joe. We've talked about it for years. I still think nothing, and maybe it's Bill Parcells' fault. You want to get on the board, you want to take the lead, you want to be ahead, even if it's only 3 points. And usually at the end of those games, I turn around and say, "Oh, that could be important if it turned out to be a 3-point game." Ha ha ha. Lo and behold, Rams 20, Bears 17. I don't know why, Campbell was another one who didn't want to do that. I understand what the analytics say, but I'll say it again. I think if you can get the lead 3-0 early in the game, I think you should take it. Now, I'm not saying this would have been different. You don't know what's going to happen the rest of the game. Would it have been 2020? Would the Bears have won in regulation? I don't know. But I'm just saying, I think it's a mistake. And these guys who are so locked in, if anything, what I would say after watching these last few weeks and even the end of the season, I would think coaches have to think about changing not just what a chart tells them. It's like the 2-point chart that we talked about years ago that still is in existence but I think they have to take a different look now. If you're 1 for 5 going on for it on fourth down, this is what happened to Campbell one day, Johnny. One of those games the Lions had to win. They were like 1 for 5 going for it on fourth down. They could have kicked 2 other field goals. At some point, you got to get a feel for a game, especially if it's low scoring. I understand you need teeth. We need touchdowns. We need 7. We don't need 3. In a lot of these games, especially in the NFL this year, generally, it seemed like there was so many of these close games, including 3-point games. I think you got to think early because it might help you later.
All right, let's go to the other game of the
Yeah.
weekend. I think we can all agree. Unfortunately, it ended on a bad note for the winning team with Bo Nix breaking an ankle and not being available the rest of the year. But pretty epic game. Bills and Broncos, unfortunately for the Bills, they were a turnover machine. They turned the ball over 5 times, and they were a -4 in turnovers. Josh Allen, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, but still had opportunities to win the game. I thought when they drove down, I mean, they were up and then they had a chance to go up 7, 8, or 9, and it was a low pass. I thought Joe Brady did a nice job calling the game. There was a low pass on almost like a wide receiver. It was going to be a wide receiver screen, and Shakir, the ball hit the ground. They kicked a field goal. Denver came back, scored a touchdown, and then Buffalo had to kick a field goal. But also, Dawson Knox was wide open, and Allen overthrew him. I thought those 2 plays were critical. And forget about all the turnovers. I thought that if Allen makes those 2 plays, which he usually does, Knox walks into the end zone, and that's the ball game. Or Shakir walks into the end zone, and they could have gone up 9 if they went for 2, 8 if they kick an extra point, and if they miss, they're still up 7. So didn't happen. Josh Allen visibly upset afterwards. I get it. But Johnny, your thoughts? Is this on Josh Allen? Is he now becoming the guy who just can't win the big ones or make the big plays? Because he made a lot of big plays, but he didn't make enough, and he was a little careless with the football.
Yeah, man, I feel for Allen and I feel for Bills Mafia in general. I mean, this is a fan base they have lost some tough playoff games. I mean, the list, it's hard to keep track. It's hard to, Allen obviously took full accountability after the game, turned the ball over 4 times. He also scored 30 points in Denver in a divisional round. I mean, you've told them before the game that he was going to score 30. I think you'd take that in a heartbeat. So
Hmm.
this is a tough one to gauge. The Bills have this crazy stat, man. Ready for this? The Bills are the 4th team to win a playoff game in 6 or more consecutive season. The other 3 teams all won 3+ Super Bowls. The Bills haven't been to one. The
Wow.
Cowboys of the early to mid 90s, the Patriots of the 2010s, and the Chiefs most recently, the only other 3 teams I saw on the stat to win 6 or more, to win a playoff game in 6+ consecutive years, and the Bills have not even been to a Super Bowl. That's brutal, man. That's brutal. Is it on Allen? This is a tough one. I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over in several playoff games in a row. And then he totally loses his mind. The worst one to me was when he lost his mind just before halftime.
Yeah.
No timeouts. He's running the ball to get to his own 40-yard line with no time on the clock. And I don't know if he got stripped. He almost looked like he tried to do something with it. And he gives him 3 points that ends up being totally consequential. I mean, completely, entirely consequential. And then I just want to say, there's a lot of controversy with what happened in overtime, and I just want to give quickly my take on it. I think, first of all, Brandon Cooks has also been involved in a lot of brutal playoff almost catches. I mean, he got knocked out of Super Bowl 52. That was when the Eagles beat the
Malcolm
Patriots.
Jenkins, yeah.
Got a concussion, and the Patriots still moved the ball in that game. Then he ended up going to the Rams in Super Bowl 53. He had a couple almost touchdowns.
Almost down the right side by the pylon.
Not just the right side, but also down the middle. Jason McCourty, Jared Goff got it to him really late. He was wide open. Jason McCourty knocked it out. He had two in that game. I think he's had a couple since then. And, he makes what looked initially like a great catch, but I understand why Buffalo's mad, but I think the way you have to analyze that is if the defensive player McMillan, who makes an unbelievable play, once again, a championship level play, if he just knocks the ball loose as opposed to takes it away when that happened, nobody would say that that player is down by contact. Everybody would say that's an incomplete pass. You need to complete the catch. You can't just have your knee down. Instead, he takes the ball away, and I understand McDermott wants them to take a longer look at it. They did take a look at it. I understand the frustration, but then I hate what the refs did. I hate the fact that they're all of a sudden, when in a game, I didn't see the final penalties. I didn't think they were calling it too tight.
They weren't.
They start calling these real tic-tac defensive
47
pass
yards.
interference. Now, on the first one that got him to the 40, it was a terrible DPI call, though there was roughing the passer, and Joey Bosa lost his mind. I don't know that would have been. Now, I wish I wouldn't call it, but I think it would have been a penalty either way. I hate the penalty on Tre'Davious White. Is it technically defensive pass interference by letter of the law? Yes. I don't like it in that situation at all. Let these guys play. The Broncos would have, I think, third down on the 37. It is in Denver, high altitude. He can probably make that kick, but it's far from guaranteed. Let the guys play. You've let them play all game. I really hate that. I really despise that. There was potentially a missed holding call in the end zone. Denver fans are in arms about, because then if that had been called as a safety in overtime, Bo
Right.
Nix would be healthy.
Right.
Overall, the Bills did get, I think, shafted overall. I hate those defensive penalties, but you can't turn the ball over 5 times on the road and expect to win. It says a lot about the Broncos and maybe how not as good. Well, Joe, you've actually not thought they were good for a while, but they are in the AFC Championship game. But you win the turnover battle by 4 at home, and you win by 3 in overtime. That's a little questionable. Now you have a backup quarterback. We'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, Steve, your thoughts on the Bills? The Bills coming up short
Oh,
again.
I feel bad for Josh Allen. He looked like he was literally crying in that post-game thing, but it's also true this one's on him. I think it was the Patriots guy, oh, Damian Woody, Johnny. He said, look, this guy has played great in these ones he lost to Mahomes. He's always been great. And I said last week that I thought he'd be Superman last week when they won, and I thought he'd be Superman this week, and he simply wasn't Superman. But I agree with Johnny. It was so dumb. This was young Josh Allen running around with the ball like this, like he's holding it outside, like no attempt to protect the ball. And Johnny, they said that a guy came, I don't forget who it was, but came from behind him, and that's how the ball got hit south towards the goalpost that they then kicked the field goal on. But that was so ridiculous. And they did ask him, now what are you doing? There's 18 seconds left. You have no timeouts left. You're at your own 20 or wherever you were, and you're running the ball. If anything, you should have ran out of
Wow.
bounds. And because what, you're going to gain 3 more yards if you kept going. So I didn't understand that. And as Johnny said, and this is my favorite saying, boy, that would be important if the game was a 3-point game. Oh, not only
Oh,
was it a
yeah. Guess
3-point game, it
what?
was an overtime 3-point game. But Josh Allen did take, I respect him for taking blame, but I think it was his fault, quite frankly. I think there just wasn't. Now, look, he brought him back from 13 down, the dreaded 13, Joe,
Ah,
that Johnny and I talk about. They did take the lead. I thought they were going to win. Um, but boy, I don't know where he goes from here because there was no Mahomes there. I mean, Bo Nix played really well. Don't get me wrong. Um, but this was not Patrick Mahomes. This was not Lamar. This was not any of the. Oh, this was not Joe Burrow. I'm sorry, because he beat them also. So I feel terrible for Josh Allen. I do. I have a good friend of mine who worked for me many years ago, and she moved to Buffalo. She's a really good lawyer in Buffalo and a diehard Bills fan. I haven't spoken to her since that, but she was going out with her husband. They were going out to Denver to watch this game. Can you imagine going from Buffalo to Denver to watch this game? You talk about a long flight home. No, I feel bad for her, but
it was rough.
it was,
It was
and
rough.
I 100% agree with Johnny. The famous game-winning drive was 53 yards in pass interferences.
Yeah.
And I also sent you both a picture that maybe it wasn't a big deal, but on the first play of that drive, which was an incomplete pass, there was definitely a face mask. Did you get the picture I sent you, Joe?
I didn't
Because
see it.
Oh, I
Sorry.
wish you'd look for it because I took a picture of it. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody said anything. I think they asked the expert, could that have been PI? And he said, no, they were just fighting with their hands. Is that Gene Sarator maybe? They were just fighting with their hands. And the receiver grabbed, I forget who was guarding him, grabbed him by the face mask in the air. That was pass interference. And the only reason I bring it up is because why? You're starting 15 yards further back. So maybe if you get 50 yards and saying the guy's got to make a 48-yard field goal or something. I thought that was a big play in the game and a big non-call. But I do agree with Johnny. Certainly the last one. The last one was definitely PI. Should you call it then? The basketball refs swallow the whistle? The hockey refs in overtime swallow the whistle? You're damn right they do. So it's a disappointing way to lose, but you got to put it on Josh Allen. I'll remember most of all him running with 10 seconds left in the half, running to nowhere with the ball out, like, please go ahead, hit it. And that was a psychological turning point in the game, I think, because what, they scored 10 points in 22 seconds or something. So I give them credit. I give the Bills credit for fighting back. I give Josh Allen credit for throwing those two passes for touchdowns to take the lead. But at the end of the day, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. That's my view of the game.
Speaking of shooting yourselves in the foot, it was sloppy conditions in Foxborough today, but the Patriots walked out of there with a win and their ticket to Denver. As
That's
five,
normal weather, Joe. That's normal weather. That's
yeah, it was, well, maybe it's starting to be normal,
down by
normal
you.
play of CJ Stroud because he turned the ball over.
Oh boy.
They turned the ball over 5 times, did the Texans. And listen, Patriots turned it over 3 as well, but to still have a +2 after you turn the ball over 3 times, pretty fortunate. CJ Stroud was not good. 4 interceptions he threw today. Still had opportunities to win the game, but they couldn't do anything offensively. I thought the Patriots did a pretty nice job bottling them up and shutting them down. And I was looking for them to replace CJ Stroud. He was that bad today. But 20 of 47, 212, 1 TD, 4 picks. His quarterback rating was 28. That's
Right.
not good. And Drake May was at 100 quarterback, 100.7, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He did enough to win the game, and I thought the Patriots defense kind of underrated. They can get after the quarterback and did a nice job pressuring um, CJ Stroud today. Steve, we talked about CJ Stroud hasn't been the same since his rookie year, and he was just, it's a shame. It's almost like they wasted such a great run and a great defensive performance in the last 10 games. And even today, they could have suffered a better fate if they didn't turn the ball over so many times, did Houston.
Yeah, I think Drake May, I hope he improves off of this one because it was the second week in a row. He doesn't quite have that feel for the pocket. He doesn't quite know just to step up just enough. And when the guy hits you in your throwing arm once and you're still trying to throw it, here's a newsflash. That's not going to happen. The guy's 6 inches away from you. So he fumbled 4 times and lost two of them. The Texans are very, very tough. I don't think Denver, who has a very good defense, are going to be as tough as the Texans. But I give May a lot of credit for hanging in there. Also sacked 5 times. I think the Texans, you can argue, I think they're the most athletic defense. I mean, you can't run away from these guys. They can run you down no matter who you are. Having said that, though, they wound up winning. I think they finally got the right coach. I think they have the right quarterback. Diggs is Diggs, had another couple of big catches. It's really interesting how much he's helped this team, not just from a receiving, but he's a leader. He's out there giving all the defense 5 when they're coming off the field, which, by the way, was a big part of their win. When he caught that TD pass, Johnny, that was an incredible catch. I mean, he's a great player. He's a great player. And I'll let Johnny talk more about this, but he can talk about the booty, as he said to me at the time, one of the greatest catches in the history of Patriots playoffs, which I agree with him totally. It was just amazing. And they were almost trying to talk their way out of it, but Douglas had a TD catch early, that little slant. I was talking to Johnny during the game. What you could get the Texans defense on, if you could get a slant with a couple of fast guys, like Douglas on the touchdown, for example. So Diggs had a touchdown. Booty had a touchdown. Douglas had a touchdown, and that was enough to win the game. But I agree. Thanks to CJ Stroud. He's year one CJ Stroud now. He was not close to um he's year two CJ Stroud now. He wasn't close to CJ Stroud one. And I think the coach doesn't want to break his heart. If you brought Davis Mills in at halftime, Johnny, I think they could have taken a shot at winning that game because he's not bad, Davis Mills.
Yeah, I don't know how he is in those conditions though.
Right. But no, you go ahead and talk about it. You got a lot more to say, I'm sure, than me. But it's an impressive win against a really good defense and to get three passing touchdowns with lots of turnovers. That was impressive to me.
Yeah, I just think really I thought the Patriots' defensive success emanated from their ability to stop the run. Woody Marks, 14 carries, 17 yards. Texans had 22 carries for 48 yards overall. They just did a great job at stuffing the run on early downs, made Stroud throw the ball, and then exposed him. It must be a combination of he's obviously been struggling over the last couple of years, and he's not a good cold weather quarterback. He's not a good bad condition quarterback. I mean, there's no other way to get around it. Drake May, I'll just encourage us. I think we should be looking. I think that QBR rather than the old passer rating metric is better. He was 100.7 on the passer rating metric. He was 20.8 on a scale of 1 to 100 QBR because I think that factors in things like you put the ball on the ground 4 times. When you know that Will Anderson is one-on-one against your rookie left tackle, you can't take more than 2 seconds to throw the ball, or you need to shift some sort of alignment, whether it's McDaniels, May, or both, to make sure that he's chipped. You can't have Will Anderson, somebody like him, be one-on-one in a passing situation, unless you're going to throw a screen pass or something like that, or you're going to run a draw play. So it is frustrating, as Steve said, to see him put the ball on the ground so much, and he's going to have another excellent pass rush that he has to go against this Sunday. I don't think it's as good as the Texans, but it's going to be an excellent pass rush. I think this is partially the product. The Patriots played really bad competition, and this is the first time May is seeing elite defenses. He saw a really good one against the Chargers. He saw a great one against the Texans, and he's going to see a really good one next week, but on the road in a tough place to play. I don't care who the quarterback situation is instead of offense versus defense. But he just makes incredible throws, man, and he is mentally tough. I mean, that first play to Douglas, I think, is a fourth down play, right, Steve? They actually went for it on 4th and 5. They were in no man's land because of the weather conditions.
Right.
Makes a great throw. The Diggs just can catch the ball, man. He's really been impressive. And then Kayshon Boutte, you can't put it over the Edelman sort of helicopter catch in Super Bowl 51, the one we were at, but it has to be up there. One of the best catches I've seen, one-handed in those conditions. Once again, to be able to make that play, Boutte was actually, hey, give Bill Belichick some credit. He's the one who drafted him a couple of years ago as part of his last draft class, and just made an absolutely incredible play. So the Patriots have some playmakers. And I really do just want to emphasize, I think what was really impressive is their ability to stop the run. And they had a hard time running the ball until that fourth quarter. They had a really nice from their own 5 yard line, or I think it was a 6 minute drive just to get it to midfield where they just pounded the rock. And they're going to need to do that next week to be successful against Denver.
Yeah, and if I can mention quickly, Jones with the pick six interception, a heck of a player. Carlton Davis with two picks. And despite both of those guys, I thought Gonzalez was just as impressive. He seems 100% healthy now. He had a ton of tackles and a couple of pass defenses. And I think that's part of the whole Patriots realm from the good old days. I mean, this seems to be a combination. Obviously, they don't have Tom Brady, but this is a combination of excellent defense and very good offense. And I think obviously they have a big chance. I thought they could win even if Bo Nix was playing. And now I think they have a better chance, but that's the old you got to be careful. Although Stidham was a Patriot.
Yeah, the Patriots drafted Stidham, I think, in the third or fourth round in 2019, which is interesting. And then just the last thing I do want to say, the Texans just a little bit in CJ Stroud's defense, no Nico Collins, and for the vast majority of the game, no Dalton Schultz. So you're down two bad
Right.
conditions in New England.
Good point.
You
Yeah.
can't turn the ball over 100 times, but that's going to be tough to overcome.
8 turnovers in that game. The other game that I thought just didn't seem like a playoff game, didn't have that feel. And of course, the Seahawks ran back the opening kick, but they pretty much demoralized the 49ers from the get-go. Sam Darnold didn't have to do a lot, 8 of 17. Brock Purdy didn't do much, and more turnovers. Their defense and special teams really took over that game, Steve. And they're now going to face a rematch of the game a few weeks ago where it was 38-37. where the Seahawks put themselves in a position to gain the top spot against the Rams. But the Niners just were never in that game. I know they're injured and they're banged up, but they were taken out of that game from jump.
Well, Seattle was dominated them a couple of weeks ago, 13-3, and now they, gave them two field goals instead of one. They're an elite defense. They're very athletic. Darnold didn't have to do much, you're right. And the question might be in the future, what will Darnold have to do? And I'm not clear on the answer what that is, but got to give Walker credit. They have a running game now, 19 carries, 116 yards, three TDs, and Shaheed ran back the opening, kickoff for a touchdown. That doesn't happen much anymore. I give Seattle a lot of credit. They might be the favorite. I haven't looked at these things. Maybe you have, Joe. They might probably the favorite now to win the Super Bowl, I would think,
I would
because
think so. I have not seen. They are the favorite next week
you
over
think
the
the
Rams.
Rams
I'm
might
sure
still
on
be,
that.
Johnny? Is that
No, the Seahawks have to be if they're favored over the Rams. The question is, do the Patriots have the advantage because they're playing a backup quarterback and they have a better chance to win next week? I don't know what Vegas thinks.
well, I think they do have a better chance to win with no Bo Nix. It would be like, if the Patriots didn't have May, they wouldn't be whatever they are, favorites or whatever. Uh, just part of the game, next man up, all that stuff. I kind of feel good though for Cooper Kupp because he found his way. He found his way to Seattle. Oh boy, do they play the Rams next week, Johnny? Is that the game?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my goodness. That'll be interesting to watch, but he has 5 catches for 60 yards. He's still a real good, and
Still play.
he doesn't have to be the number one man there either. So I think that helps him. That helps him a lot. So all credit to Seattle, the 49ers. I don't know if it's they ran out of gas. I've been a big Purdy believer, but in these two games against Seattle, he seemed like a little guy playing quarterback and just couldn't get rid of the ball quick enough. And they took a shellacking. I don't know what the answer is for them. I've always talked to Johnny about the when we went to the Atlanta Patriots 28-3 Super Bowl. When we left, I was like, these guys are never going to win. As good as Shanahan is, and who is it, Dan Quinn? I said, these guys are never going to win a Super Bowl because they could have taken three knees, had Matt Bryant kick a field goal, and they would have been up 11 with 4 minutes left. And it was just poor coaching, even though he's a great offensive mind. Shanahan, I'm talking about. But look, I thought they were overmatched in terms of the injuries. And of course, they didn't have Kittle. And I know what you said about one guy, Joe, not being a big supporting, but I think Kittle, uh, I think he's one of those guys that if you miss, you're hurt. And look, Seattle just dominated them. It wasn't a game.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say they were just too overmatched to be that decimated with injuries and on a 6-day week and going up to Seattle. It was just too much to overcome. Seattle can run the ball. We don't know what Sam Darnold is, but there have been some defenses that have carried teams to Super Bowl. 2015 Broncos, 2000 Ravens, where the quarterback doesn't have to do a whole lot, and Darnold can do something. We'll have to see if the pressure gets put on him, what will happen.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of pressure. I know I'm hearing people say, well, Sam Donald really got the monkey off the back. Yeah, not really. You know what I mean? Like Seattle, I mean, the defense kind of carried them, special teams. Nice job by Mike McDonald this year. I mean, that team's for real. It's going to be interesting. They're a 2.5 point favorite over the Rams next week, championship weekend. The Patriots are 5.5 point road favorites
Uh-oh.
in Denver. I know it's that number. It's that dreaded 5.5 number. Listen, I like the Patriots, but I would not be surprised if it's a tight game. If their defense, I didn't think played great. The Denver defense for what they were billed as, and hyped up to be going into the Bills game, and they've got to play better. And I think Sean Payton, he almost kind of smirked when and I know he likes a challenge. I'm sure he'd rather have Bo Nix because he made some great throws in that game. But Jared Stidham, who was once a Patriot, I remember the kid from Auburn. I've seen him play well. I've seen him play well, and I know he hasn't thrown a meaningful pass in 2 years, but I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a tight game. We'll have our previews in a few days as we preview championship weekend, which means conference championship weekend, next Saturday. And appreciate you boys staying up late for this. I got to get you playing in a few hours. I'm going to see if I can check out the college championship game tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen there, but Thanks for staying up. Appreciate it. You can check out Steve's stuff on his daily Facebook forum page, folks. Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas. You can also catch this podcast on YouTube or all the audio outlets each week. And you can follow me on Twitter at JoeStaszak975 or on Instagram at JoeStaszak4799. Great stuff, Johnny. Great stuff, Steve. We appreciate it, folks, and appreciate you guys watching and staying up late with us. And we'll catch you in a few days.
Always a pleasure, fellas.
You too. Appreciate it, guys. I'll catch you this week.